Every Tuesday at 6 sharp, Claire and I would slide into our usual booth at Rinaldi's, the little Italian spot down on Main. We'd been doing it for almost 8 years. The owner, Leo, would greet us with that same warm smile, already knowing our order. It was the kind of comfort that didn't need words. Spaghetti bolognese for me, eggplant parm for her, a shared tiramisu at the end. Simple, reliable, easy. My name's Martin. I'm 41 years old. I live in Charlottesville, Virginia. I've been married to Claire since we were both fresh out of grad school. And if you'd asked me last week, I'd have said we were doing just fine. But that night, that Tuesday night, something felt off. Subtle, like a shift in temperature you can't quite place. Claire didn't smile when we sat down. She didn't reach for my hand across the table like she usually did. And then she ordered something new. Grilled branzino, of all things. Switching it up? I asked, trying to keep it light. She gave a small shrug and didn't look at me. Just felt like something different. That should have been the first red flag. Dinner went quiet for a while. I tried to fill the silence with the usual stuff. A story from work, a comment about the weird weather. She nodded here and there, but wasn't really listening. Her phone stayed face down beside her glass, which was unusual for Claire. She normally liked to show me whatever meme or article she'd scrolled past. When the waiter cleared our plates and brought the check, she still hadn't said much. Just as I was sliding my card into the leather folder, she cleared her throat. "Martin," she said, soft but firm, "I need to talk to you about something important." I set the folder down slowly. "Okay," she hesitated, staring at the candle between us like it might give her courage. "I've been thinking a lot lately about us. About how we've lived the same life for almost 2 decades. Claire, I'm not saying I don't love you." Her voice wobbled. "But I feel like I'm stuck. Like we made all these choices when we were 24, and now we're just locked into them." I stared at her, not following. "Are you saying you want to... what? Get divorced?" "No." She met my eyes. "I'm saying I want to open things up." I blinked. "Open what?" "Our marriage." I let out a stunned laugh. "Claire, what are you talking about?" "I've done a lot of reading," she said, all quick and clinical now, like she was presenting a pitch. "People make it work. It's about freedom, exploration. It doesn't mean anything has to change between us." "Nothing has to change?" I scoffed. "Except for the part where we start sleeping with other people?" She flinched, then nodded. "Yes, but only if we're honest about it." I sat back, staring at her like I didn't recognize the woman across from me. "Is there someone else?" Not really." She looked away. "I just think we both deserve the chance to experience more. Before it's too late." There it was, that quiet little lie she hoped I'd swallow without chewing. "Claire," I said, my voice low, "you've already made up your mind, haven't you?" "No," she insisted, but there was panic behind her eyes. "I wanted to talk to you first. To be fair." Fair. The word felt like a slap. I couldn't even process what I was hearing. Claire, the same woman who used to fall asleep on my chest while we watched reruns of The Office, now wanted to turn our marriage into some kind of dating experiment, and she was saying it like it was reasonable, like it was modern, like I should thank her for being so progressive. I kept my face calm, but inside my thoughts were ping-ponging between confusion and fury. Who was she trying to liberate, me or herself? She reached across the table. "Please don't look at me like that." "Like what?" "Like I'm betraying you?" I pulled my hand back. "Aren't you?" The tension between us thickened. She shook her head quickly, eyes shiny now. "This doesn't have to be a bad thing. It could actually bring us closer." I let out a cold laugh. "Or maybe it just gives you an excuse." "For what?" I leaned in. "To sleep with someone you've already been thinking about." Her face went still, and that was all I needed. She wasn't asking for permission. She was asking for cover. I sat back slowly. "You know what, Claire? If this is what you want, then say it. But don't act like it's some gift to me. This is about you." She didn't deny it. That silence was answer enough. When the waiter came back with the check, I signed it without a word. Claire sat there, staring at the candle again, like it might make her disappear. The ritual was broken, and I knew whatever came next. There was no putting it back together the way it had been. The drive home was mostly silent. Claire stared out the window while I kept my hands at 10 and 2, pretending I wasn't reeling inside. She had dropped a bomb over linguine and red wine, then calmly asked if I wanted dessert, like we were still having a normal night. We pulled into the driveway around 9:30, porch light on. Same potted plants. Same quiet neighborhood. Everything looked normal. Inside, Claire kicked off her heels and went straight to the kitchen to pour herself a glass of water. I hung my jacket by the door and followed her, watching the way she avoided my eyes. "You want anything?" she asked, her voice too even. "No." She nodded and walked past me toward the stairs. "I'm gonna shower." I didn't answer. I just stood there until I heard the water running. Then I sat down on the edge of the couch and tried to catch my breath. I wasn't angry, not yet. I was disoriented. Something about the way she said it, like she had memorized the speech, practiced the tone, like she'd been sitting on it for weeks, just waiting for the right moment. She had made up her mind. That much was clear. What wasn't clear was why she was pretending this was mutual, that it was about freedom and growth. No, this wasn't a conversation. It was a warning, a justification for something that had already started. When the water shut off upstairs, I stood up and walked to my office, quietly closed the door, booted up my laptop. Forensic accounting wasn't just my job. It was my reflex. When something didn't make sense, I followed the trail. And Claire had just handed me a reason to start looking. I logged into our phone plan first. Nothing about it had changed. Same numbers, same shared data. But once I opened her call log, I found what I didn't know I was looking for. A name that showed up way too often. James Donnelly. Text messages, calls, midday, late at night, weekends. Always her initiating. I stared at the screen, heart pounding. James worked with Claire. I'd met him once at a company Christmas party. Big smile, too much cologne, the kind of guy who calls every woman gorgeous. I scrolled further. 2 months ago, they started texting almost daily. Last month, she called him at 10:30 at night, talked for 17 minutes. I sat back in my chair. She wasn't exploring a new idea. She was just building a permission slip. No confrontation yet. Not tonight. I wasn't going to give her the satisfaction of watching me flail. I would take my time, gather everything, let her walk around thinking she was still in control. Because now, I wasn't a husband. I was an investigator. And Claire had no idea the clock had started ticking. Over the next few days, Claire went about life as if nothing had happened. She made coffee in the mornings, folded laundry, kissed me on the cheek before work. It was all routine, the illusion of normalcy she had always been good at maintaining. But now, every smile, every "how was your day," felt like part of a cover story. I played along. I still kissed her back, still asked about her meetings, still nodded like I believed her when she told me she'd be working late next Thursday. But every night, after she went to bed, I sat at my desk with a cup of coffee and a growing folder of data. She had no idea who she was married to. Being a forensic accountant taught me a few things: how to follow trails, how to spot inconsistencies, how to hide my intentions behind a calm face. Most of all, it taught me how to be patient. I started with our shared bank account. Claire's office reimbursed certain expenses, so she usually used her corporate card for meals or travel, but her personal card showed a few charges that stood out. Lunch at Midtown Grill twice in 1 week. A $72 tab at a boutique gym we didn't belong to. A hotel coffee bar receipt from a Friday afternoon when she told me she was on a client call. I cross-checked the timestamps with her work calendar, the one she left open on her tablet. That Friday, she'd blocked out staff budget review. Except I called her office that day about a package we'd both signed off on. Her assistant told me Claire had left early. Things started falling into place. Every new entry led to more questions, and more answers. Another charge at a bookstore downtown Claire had never mentioned. A second gym receipt. Movie tickets purchased online the same night she claimed she was too exhausted to go out. The more I connected the dots, the more one name kept appearing in the background: James Donnelly. I searched their company directory. James was in business development, but also part of some internal strategy initiative that Claire had volunteered for a few months back. It all lined up. Thursday lunches, Sunday errand runs, midday calls marked as check-ins. She wasn't easing into something, she was deep in it, and she'd been lying to my face every step of the way. I stared at the data on my screen, the digital footprint of betrayal, and I didn't feel heartbreak. I felt clarity. This wasn't a marriage anymore. It was a campaign. And Claire had waged it quietly, counting on my trust to buy her time. She had made her moves. Now it was my turn, and I wasn't just going to end it. I was going to make sure she remembered what it cost to play me for a fool. It was a Thursday evening when I finally said the words. Claire was in the kitchen chopping vegetables, humming quietly to herself, like she hadn't spent the past 3 months dismantling our marriage behind my back. I walked in, holding a manila folder, my chest hollow and full all at once. "We need to talk," I said flatly. She glanced up, still holding the knife. "Okay, what's going on?" I set the folder on the kitchen counter, right beside the cutting board. "Open it." She hesitated, then wiped her hands on a towel and flipped it open. Inside were printouts, call logs, credit card receipts, a map of her location data from her phone, neatly marked, cross-referenced, labeled in red ink. Claire didn't say anything at first. She just stared at the pile, her face slowly draining of color. "I've known for weeks," I said, voice steady. "I've just been waiting for you to stop lying." Martin," she stammered, "this is insane." "Really? Because what's insane is you calling James Donnelly at 10:30 on a Sunday night, or charging drinks at that hotel bar 3 counties away, or your lunch breaks lining up perfectly with his out-of-office status." She swallowed hard, arms crossed now like she was trying to hold herself together. "So, what, have you been spying on me?" "No," I said. "I've been uncovering the truth. There's a difference." Claire looked up at me, eyes glassy. "I didn't plan this. It just happened." I laughed, cold and sharp. That's what people say when they get caught. Her lips parted, then closed again. She was scrambling for a narrative. I watched her face shift from panic to guilt, to a kind of forced remorse. "I've been unhappy, Martin, for a long time. I felt like we were just roommates. You're always working, always distracted. I needed to feel something again." "Then you should have asked for a divorce," I snapped. "Not a free pass to cheat." She flinched. "I wasn't trying to hurt you." "But you did." I walked to the island, bracing my hands on the edge. "Our prenup has a clause," I said. "Adultery voids any claim to assets or alimony. You remember that?" Her mouth opened slightly like she'd forgotten. Or hoped I had. "Martin, please." "No," I said, stepping back. "You made your choices. Now you can live with them." She looked up at me, truly rattled for the first time. "Are you really going to do this?" I nodded. "I already did." And then I walked away. I didn't slam the door. I didn't shout. But the silence I left behind said everything. 2 days after the confrontation, I walked into Sarah Harper's office like a man clocking in for battle. She stood to greet me with a firm handshake and a look that said she'd already reviewed the folder I sent over. "I've seen uglier," she said, gesturing for me to sit. "But this one's got some teeth." Sarah had been my firm's go-to litigation counsel for years. Sharp, relentless, and not the type to flinch at emotional messes. She didn't do fluff, just facts, leverage, and outcomes. She opened a file on her desk. "Your prenuptial agreement is airtight. Clause 15. Infidelity equals full forfeiture of marital assets." I nodded. "That's what I thought." "Do you have written proof?" "Phone logs, credit card charges, GPS data, work calendar inconsistencies. I'll have email metadata by the weekend." She raised an eyebrow. "You didn't hold back." "I want this clean," I said. "No loopholes, no gray areas." Sarah leaned back, folding her arms. "You're not just looking for a divorce, are you?" "No," I said quietly. "I want her to understand what she did, every inch of it." She didn't blink. "Then here's how we play it." She laid out the plan in plain terms. We'd file for divorce citing infidelity as the cause. We'd include supporting documents. But the real twist came next. "You said they both work for the same company," she said. "That's a conflict of interest. Most firms, especially corporate ones, have zero-tolerance policies for intra-office affairs, particularly when one party's in a leadership role. James is a manager," I confirmed. "Then we file a complaint with HR. Anonymous at first. We cite Claire's role and James's title. Once they open an internal review, we'll follow with a subpoena for Claire's company emails, internal calendar, time logs. And if we find anything there, then we light a fire under both of them." It was surgical, cruel even, but fair. Sarah clicked her pen. We'll time the divorce papers to hit the same day the HR complaint is received. She'll be completely blindsided, publicly and privately. I exhaled slowly, the weight of it sinking in. You okay with that? Sarah asked. I don't want her money, I said. I don't want revenge, not in the traditional sense. I just want her to feel the fallout. I want her to know she didn't just walk away without cost. Sarah nodded once. Then let's make it count. We scheduled the filing for the following Wednesday. As I left her office, I didn't feel anger. I felt prepared. Claire had made her play. Now I was making mine. And I wasn't just ending the marriage. I was ending the lie it was built on. Wednesday morning came crisp and quiet. I dressed like it was any other day. Slacks, button down, no tie. But in my breast pocket sat a folded copy of the divorce petition. And on my calendar was one entry. Delivery confirmed. At 10:47 a.m., Claire received the envelope in front of half her department. A paralegal served it with the precision of a machine, handing it directly to her during her team's mid-morning briefing. By 10:52, the HR complaint landed in her company's legal inbox, signed anonymously, but filled with the kind of detail only someone on the inside, or someone married to the inside, could know. Meeting dates, corporate email timestamps. Lunch expenses filed as internal client development. The dominoes started falling almost immediately. Claire called me 12 times that afternoon. I didn't answer once. She left voicemails at first, her voice strained but trying to stay calm. Martin, I don't know what this is. Please, we can talk. By the sixth message, she wasn't calm anymore. What are you trying to do to me? Then silence. I heard through a former colleague that the company pulled both Claire and James into separate meetings with HR before lunch. They were questioned about policy violations, asked for access to devices, told to stay off email and leave the building while an internal audit was conducted. That night, I saw James's name trending on a niche business ethics blog. Apparently, a whistleblower report had triggered a suspension pending review. A source close to the company claimed personal misconduct involving a subordinate. Claire didn't text me again until just after midnight. Why are you doing this? You're destroying everything. I stared at the message, then turned my phone over on the nightstand without replying. Let her sit in it. Let her feel the weight of what she'd built, and what I dismantled brick by brick. By Friday, James was officially terminated. Claire hadn't been fired yet, but she was on leave while the investigation continued. Word spread fast. Mutual friends reached out, cautiously asking if I was okay. Most didn't know what had happened, only that something big had gone down. I kept it simple. We're divorcing. Claire's choices speak for themselves. Every response after that came with the same tone, a mix of surprise and hushed curiosity. But I wasn't out for gossip. I was out for balance. Claire once told me she wanted freedom, choices, new experiences. Well, now she had them. She just hadn't expected the price. It's been 7 months since the papers were signed. Claire lost her job 3 weeks after the HR investigation wrapped. They didn't make a public statement, just a quiet email announcing a staff restructuring and a severance package that, as far as I know, she never received. James was gone even sooner. No appeals, no explanations, just a LinkedIn profile that hasn't been updated since April. I don't ask around, but people still find ways to tell me what they've heard. James tried getting work through a consulting firm, but word traveled fast in their industry. Claire moved back in with her sister in Richmond for a while. Last I heard, she was applying to HR admin jobs at tech startups. No one wants to touch her. I should feel something about all that. Pity maybe, or vindication. But the truth is I don't feel much of anything anymore. I moved into a condo just outside the city, closer to the office. It's smaller than the house Claire and I shared, but it suits me. Clean lines, quiet hallways, and no memories clinging to the corners. Work has shifted too. I left my old firm in May and started a new role with a corporate investigations group. Tighter focus, better hours. I dig into white-collar fraud cases now, the kind that requires a sharp eye and a steady hand. I'm good at it, always was. But now, there's a precision to my work that wasn't there before. A personal edge. I've dated a little. Coffee here, dinner there. I don't let things go too far. I know how to spot red flags now. The vague answers, the hidden accounts, the pauses between sentences. I keep it casual, strategic. Last week, I got a message from someone I hadn't heard from in years. Jennifer, an old friend Claire and I used to see socially, back when things were simpler. She wrote, "I just heard what happened. I'm so sorry. You didn't deserve that. Hope you're doing okay." I stared at the message for a while before replying. Just 3 words. "Thanks, I'm fine." She sent a smiley face. I never answered. I don't owe anyone explanations anymore. I've stopped trying to explain myself. To Claire, to friends, to anyone. What happened isn't just a story I tell. It's a line in the sand I crossed and never came back from. There's peace in that. Not happiness exactly, but something steadier. I walk through my days with more certainty now. I lost a marriage, but I found my clarity, and I don't plan on letting anyone take that from me again.